two cameras, two worlds that should never collide, and yet when they do, the results expose something every photographer eventually learns the hard way. The Hasselblad X2D II 100C and the Nikon Z8 may look like they belong to entirely different categories, but there's a brutal truth connecting them. Price tags mean nothing when the wrong camera suffocates your creativity. The Hasselblad costs nearly twice as much, but that doesn't automatically make it twice as capable. What really matters is what happens when you're on a real job, when moments are unpredictable, clients are impatient, and you can't afford to miss a shot. That's when specs fade and reliability becomes the only spec that matters. The Hasselblad X2D II 100C is the embodiment of photographic perfection on paper. A 100-megapixel medium format sensor, 16-bit color depth, and a surface area far larger than any full-frame system make it sound like a dream machine. But here's what the brochures don't mention: that enormous sensor captures not only exquisite detail but also every single imperfection you make. The tiniest camera shake, the slightest focus miss, the faintest flicker in lighting, all of it gets magnified. When you're shooting handheld portraits at a wedding or chasing fleeting expressions, that precision becomes your enemy. The Nikon Z8, with its 45.7-megapixel stacked sensor, trades ultimate resolution for speed, forgiveness, and consistency. It's the difference between a scalpel and a sword, both sharp, but one lets you move without fear of cutting yourself. Hasselblad's 5-axis stabilization promises up to 10 stops of compensation, and in a calm, controlled studio environment, it delivers beautifully. But in the real world, dim churches, fast-moving events, or spontaneous street scenes, it hesitates just enough to cost you a moment. The Nikon Z8 stacked sensor, by contrast, feels alive. It practically reads your mind, erasing rolling shutter issues and locking onto subjects with uncanny accuracy. Its deep learning autofocus doesn't just recognize faces or eyes, it predicts behavior, keeping pace with your subject when chaos hits. That's the kind of reliability that earns trust in high-pressure situations. Color science is where Hasselblad defenders usually take their stand, and for good reason. The X2D II produces colors that feel like art, silky transitions, skin tones that glow like brushstrokes on a painting, and a three-dimensional depth that almost breathes. But the truth is, that magic only lives under perfect light. Underexpose even slightly, and recovery brings unwanted noise. The Nikon Z8 doesn't have that 16-bit luxury, yet its dynamic range is astonishingly practical. You can underexpose by 2 or 3 stops and still pull out usable results with clean shadows and vibrant tones. For photographers working in unpredictable lighting, weddings, journalism, travel, that flexibility saves jobs and reputations. Autofocus is where the divide becomes impossible to ignore. Hasselblad's 425-point phase detection system sounds great on paper, but in practice, it hunts and hesitates when things move too fast. You find yourself questioning whether you nailed focus. The Nikon Z8 doesn't give you that anxiety. It tracks movement smoothly, sticks to subjects like glue, and reacts instantly to unpredictable changes. When your model suddenly laughs, a child runs into frame, or a dancer spins, the Nikon doesn't flinch. The Hasselblad, however, wants you to slow down, breathe, and compose like a painter, which is poetic, but not always realistic when clients are waiting. Then there's storage. Hasselblad's 1TB built-in SSD sounds luxurious, but when that drive fails, and all drives eventually do, you're shipping the entire $8,000 body back to Sweden and waiting weeks. The Nikon Z8, with its dual card slots and straightforward design, avoids that nightmare. It's redundant, serviceable, and efficient. Sometimes simplicity isn't just convenience, it's insurance against downtime. Ergonomics tell another story. The Hasselblad is stunning, it feels like holding a sculpture. But beauty comes with weight. After 8 hours of handheld shooting, you'll feel it in your shoulders. The Nikon Z8, being smaller and lighter, melts into your hands. You stop noticing it's there, which means you focus on moments instead of muscles. In environments where agility is essential, events, travel, or fast-paced commercial work, that comfort translates directly into better results. Low light is where many assume the medium format should dominate, but the difference is smaller than you'd expect. The Hasselblad holds a slight edge in noise performance, but once again, the Nikon stacked sensor makes up for it with autofocus precision in near darkness. At ISO 6400, both deliver clean images, but the Nikon keeps locking onto subjects when the Hasselblad begins to struggle. If you shoot concerts, street scenes, or documentaries in natural light, the Nikon doesn't just survive, it thrives. And then comes the real decider: lenses. A camera is only as powerful as the glass it can use. Hasselblad's XCD lenses are magnificent, sharp, consistent, and full of character, but the selection is limited, expensive, and largely confined to slower apertures. Nikon's Z mount system, on the other hand, is exploding. You get native Z lenses, backward compatibility with F-mount, and growing third-party support from Sigma and Tamron. Whether you need a budget prime or an exotic telephoto, the Nikon ecosystem has you covered. That kind of flexibility defines creative freedom more than any sensor size ever could. Video capability is another dividing line. The Nikon Z8 is a hybrid powerhouse, offering internal 8K 60 and 4K 120, plus 12-bit NRAW and ProRes RAW HQ recording. It's built for creators who want to shoot both stills and video without compromise. The Hasselblad technically records video, but it's clearly not designed with motion work in mind. In a world where clients often ask for both photos and video, the difference affects income and opportunity. The Nikon makes you adaptable, the Hasselblad makes you selective. Ultimately, both cameras represent two philosophies. The Hasselblad X2D II 100C is for artists who operate in total control, the studio perfectionists, the fine art creators, the visionaries who craft images like sculptures. In that world, nothing touches its tonal depth or its ability to turn reality into something dreamlike. The Nikon Z8, meanwhile, belongs to professionals who live in the unpredictable, the ones chasing fleeting light, fast action, and deadlines. It doesn't seduce you with mystique, it empowers you with reliability. The uncomfortable truth is this: the Hasselblad makes you feel like an artist, but the Nikon makes you feel like a professional. And in the real world, professionals are the ones who keep getting paid. This isn't about which camera is better, it's about which one aligns with your rhythm. One demands patience and control. The other rewards speed and instinct. The question isn't what camera you can afford, it's what kind of pressure you're built to handle.